Greetings and welcome. As I always start with it says a class test, but it's the length of a cycle test, so it is quite long. It's quite thorough. I wanted my students to write a composite test of all the types of analytical geometry that you can get. So I've set this test and it's got all the equations, all the three types of analytical geometry questions that you can ask. So this is a very good summary of all the types of questions that you can get with analytical geometry. So if you would like to follow me throughout this video, if you're perhaps doing some revision for the exam, this is a good set of questions to go through to really make sure that you are well prepared for this section in the exam. Okay. All right, so let's quickly start. Question 1 says calculate the distance between the following 2 points on the graphs below, and very important, leave your answer in simplest surd form. Okay, so just very easy question to start off with. The distance formula that is also given to you. It won't be given as this is the distance, this is a midpoint. You just have to be able to pinpoint which one you need to use. Okay, so I'm going to do the distance of AB, which is the square root of the two sides of the x values. And remember, with these ones, you don't have to say, like with the gradient, the change of y over change of x. It doesn't have to be in order. Yeah, you can do the x values first and then the y values. And because you are subtracting, it doesn't really matter which one you are subtracting from which one. And because it's squared, then it doesn't really matter if you are subtracting the one from the other or the other from the one. Okay, so 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 squared is 81. And negative 2 minus another 6 is minus 8. And 8 squared gives you 64. Okay, so you'll never end up with a negative under the square root, because as we know, that can't happen. Okay, so the square root of 145, and just to double check that it's the simplest surd form, you say the square root of 145 gives you the square root of 145. So this would be the simplest surd form. What is the difference between simplest surd and if I say to you round off to nearest 1 decimal perhaps? Simplest surd keeps all your answer, keeps all your digits together. Okay, so sometimes when you do a follow-up question, the examiner wants you to leave it as a simplest surd so that you keep all those decimals inside. Okay, then over here, I'm just going to quickly do it as to not waste time. Okay, and that gives you simplest surd is the square root of 373. Okay, so just be careful for your double negative. So 10 minus 8. And 4 minus 3. Okay, you could have done it the other way around as well. You could have said minus 8 minus 10 and minus 3 minus 4. Doesn't matter. You could have then said 10 minus 8 over negative 3 minus 4. It doesn't matter. Because of that square, you'll always end up with the same answer as if you had to do it the other way around. Okay, and that is also simplest surd. And then over here, they say to determine the value or the values of y if the distance of AB is 5. So the distance is given to you as 5. And if you take the 2x value squared plus the 2y value squared, the difference of those two. So yeah, I'm going to start with y minus 6. I always like to put the variable first. I don't know why. And then let's do negative 5 minus 5. So just please be careful for your double negatives. Very important. Okay, then y minus 6 squared. You can't simplify yet. And minus 9 plus 5 gives you 4. 4 squared gives you 16. Okay, now how do I get rid of this square root? If I square on this side, if I do the inverse, it's going to get rid of that square. Now, all I need to do is on the other side, I also need to square. So 5 squared is 25, and then as my square root is gone now. Okay, lots of students did this. They took the 16 over, 25 minus 16 is 9 is equal to y minus 6 squared. And now very important, so when they square rooted this, please remember, if you square root your 9, it should be a plus minus 3. So it's either y minus 6 is a positive 3 or y minus 6 is a negative 3. Very, very important. So y can either be 9 or y can be negative 3 plus 6 is a positive 3. Okay, so please, lots of them didn't do a plus minus there. The other way you could have done it is you can say 25 minus 16 still gives you 9. And if you take y minus 6 and you square it, it gives you 9 is equal to y squared minus 12y plus 36. Please remember, it's not y squared and negative 6 squared. It's y squared, then the 2 multiply together, times by 2. So negative 6 times y is negative 6y, times by 2 gives you negative 12y plus 36. If you're a little bit scared of doing the fast way, please remember you can double up and FOIL out. And then you'll get 0 is equal to y squared minus 12y, and 36 minus 9 gives you 27. And if you had to factorize that, y, they are the same. They're both negative. And what times what gives you 27? If you add or subtract, it gives you 12. Minus 9 minus 3 gives you negative 12. And if you multiply them, it gives you that. So either y is 9 or y is 3. Okay, and in this instance, we can take it that y would have been smaller than the 6, which would have been y is 3. Okay, but they did ask you to determine the value or values of y if the distance is AB, so could have kept both answers. But more specifically to this picture, if they had to ask you what is the coordinate then of B, which I haven't, but if they had, you would have said negative 9, 3. Okay. All right. Then they say the following points are given, P, Q, and R. Then they say if PQ is equidistant to QR, calculate the possible values of X. Okay, so PQ is equal to QR. So the distance of PQ, which I'm going to quickly work out, is equal to the distance of QR. Okay, so for PQ, if I start with the x's, 10 minus 6 and 5 minus 8, and here with QR, let's do the x's 10 minus x and the y's 5 minus 2. Okay, because you've got an equation, you can say, okay, well, if I square this, the square root falls away. And what I do on the one side, I have to do on the other side. So basically, you're taking the square roots away, but it's only when you are dealing with an equation. Okay, and 10 minus 6 squared gives you 4 squared, which is 16. 5 minus 8 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared gives you a 9. So this would be 25 on this side. And over here, 10 minus x squared plus 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Okay. Let me simplify that. 10 squared is 100 minus 20x plus x squared. So minus 10x, that's a. And don't forget about that plus 9. Okay, if you had to simplify it, I'm just going to put it in order of a trinomial. X squared minus 20x, and then 109, because it's 100 plus 9, minus 25 gives you 84. Okay, then you can go check your calculator and say what times what gives you 84. If you add or subtract, it gives you 20. Oh, sorry for my dogs. Or you can use your calculator. So the first is 1, then negative 20, and then 84, and then it gives you 6 and 14. They are the same. They're both negative, and 14 and 6. Okay, so those are the factors. Remember, if you've got the silver calculator or the special new white one, then you can use your mode setup. 5 for equations, then the third one for the trinomial, and put in A's value is 1, B's value is negative 20, and C's value is 84. And then you get X is either 14 or 6. Okay, so calculate the possible values of X. So X can either be 14 or 6. So please always, when you're done with the question, go to the question itself and see, did I answer what was asked? Okay, then question 2, to do with the midpoint. Determine the midpoint of AB, and if the midpoint of line AB, if A and B are the following points. So please remember, the midpoint is a coordinate where the two X values added together divided by 2, and the two Y values added together divided by 2. And 6 minus 2 is 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So there's the midpoint coordinate there, and over here, minus 3 plus minus 3 divided by 2, and minus 2 plus 2 divided by 2. So over here, minus 3 minus another 3 is minus 6, which gives you minus 3. Minus 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 divided by 2 gives you a 0. Okay, if M, negative 1, negative 5, is the midpoint of a line segment joining the 2 points A and B, calculate the values of X and Y. Okay, so they give me the midpoint. And now, if I had to draw it like this, if I had A over here is X and Y, and B over here is negative 6, negative 3, they have given me the answer for the midpoint over there, which is negative 1, negative 5. So we know if we add the two X values divided by 2, it will give me the midpoint. So minus 6 plus X divided by 2 should give me negative 1. And the same with the Y value, minus 3 plus Y divided by 2 will give me the midpoint, which is negative 5. So let's quickly work out the Y over here. So minus 3 plus Y is equal to negative 5 times 2, which is negative 10. So Y is equal to minus 10, plus 3, which is negative 7. Okay. Then you can go test yourself. Minus 3 plus minus 7 gives you negative 10, divided by 2 gives you negative 5. And over here, negative 6 plus X is equal to negative 2. You times by 2 on each side. So X is either negative 2 plus 6, which is 4, or X is 4 and Y is negative 7. Again, you can go test yourself. Minus 6 plus 4 gives you negative 2. Minus 6 plus 4 gives you negative 2. Divided by 2 does give you that negative 1. Okay, easy peasy. Question 3, to do with the gradient. So the gradient of AB, and they've given me those coordinates luckily, so I didn't have to go and read it off nicely. But the gradient, remember, is the change of Y over the change of X. Oi, people, how many of you? It's 8 minus 2. So the gradient, they've even written it for me. So the gradient of AB is 8 minus 2 over, please, where you started. If you started with 8, you have to start now with negative 2 minus what? Minus 6. So please be careful for the double negative. 8 minus 2 gives you 6. Minus 2 plus 6 gives you minus 2 plus 6. Oh, my head is a little bit flat. Gives you 3 over 2. Okay, then the gradient of CD over here. change of y over change of x. 9 minus 3 is 6. 8 minus 4 is 2. Sorry, of CD, change of y. 9 minus 3 over 8 minus 4 doesn't give you 2. 8 minus 4 gives you 4, which is also 3 over 2. Then the gradient of EF, these two over here. Change of y, I'm going to start with the 8. Then if I have to do the second one, I start with the 3. 8 minus 4 is 2. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. And 2 divided by negative 6 gives you negative a third. I just want to see that I did it correctly. 8 minus 4 over 3 minus 9. Yeah, you see, 8 minus 4 is 4. Sorry, gives you negative 2 over 3. It's a Sunday now today at us. So I'm quickly doing a video and I am not in the maths mode. So there we go. 4 over negative 6, which gives you negative 2 over 3. And then the gradient of GH. Okay, now can you see GH is horizontal like that? And now I know that the gradient would be 0. Okay, but let's do it in any case. GH, 1 minus 1 over 8 minus 2 gives you 0 divided by 6, which gives you 0. So thus the gradient is 0. Okay, and then number IJ, I want to show you the maths behind it. IJ, so it's going to be 9 minus 5 over negative 8 minus, so 9 minus 5 over minus 8 minus minus 8. And when you do that, you get 9 minus 5 is 4, and negative 8 plus 8 gives you 0. And whenever you've got a 0 underneath, the gradient is undefined. Okay, so if a line goes up vertically like that, the gradient is undefined. When it goes horizontally like that, the gradient is 0. Okay, and we could have checked our answer here with E and F and C and D. E and F, that one, and C and D, are they perpendicular to each other? Did the sign change? Yes. Did we swap them around? Yes. Okay. Then the next question, collinear. Very important that you know that word. Collinear means that all three lines lie on the same all three coordinates lie on the same line. Okay, so they all collinear. They all lie on the same straight line. So what that means is that they all share the same gradient. Okay, so remember, if they're all on the same line, they will all have the same gradient. So show that these points are collinear. So I'm going to work out the gradient of AB, which is change of y over change of x, which gives you 3 over 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. And if I work out the gradient of BC, it should give me the same. 9 minus 0 over minus 3 minus 3, which gives you 9 over negative 6. And that also gives you 9 divided by 6 is negative 3 over 2. Thus, the gradient of AB is equal to the gradient of BC. Thus, they are collinear. Okay, hope that makes sense. Negative 3 over 2 like that. All right, let's quickly look at this one. So A, B, C, and D are vertices of a parallelogram. So those 4 points together calculates or gives me a parallelogram. So I've just drew an X and Y axis and I've plotted A, B, C where they would go and or estimately where it would go. So A, B, C, and do you see that D, let me just draw it with a right angle, should lie somewhere over here, which is x and y. Okay, so now they are asking me to calculate that missing point. So you can do it with the midpoint and etc., or the distance, working out the distance of BC should be the same distance as AD. But I want to show you a quick way of doing this, and yeah, a very easy way of doing it. Okay, so you take the two sides that are parallel. So we can start, we're going to test it both ways. So I can show you it can happen both ways. So we're going to take those two parallel lines because they are parallel. Okay, and then you're going to ask yourself, how did I get from 2 to -4? So can you see the operation that I had to do is I had to subtract 6. So now you're going to do the same to get from A to D. So what is 1 minus 6? Gives you that x there is -5. Okay, same with the y's. How did I get from 10 to 4? I subtracted 6. Okay, so that's just the operation that I have to do with the x and the y's. So here again, what is 8 minus 6 will give you that y value, which is 2. Okay, I'm going to test it the other way around as well. So let's use those parallel lines, which is indicated with the yellow. So how do I get from 2 to 1? I subtract 1. What is -4? Minus another 1 gives you -5. Okay, and then the y value is 10. What did I have to do? I had to subtract 2 to get 8. What is 4 minus 2 to get that value? It is 2. I say, so the coordinate for D is -5, 2. Easy peasy, nay? All right, so you just draw an estimate of where the coordinates would be, fill in your parallelogram the last little coordinate where it should be, and then you find your two parallel lines and say that that one should be this operation to get to that coordinate. You apply from this coordinate to that coordinate. If you wanted to do the other way around, that way and that way, you can do it as well. Both ways work. Okay. Then question 6, it says, in the diagram below, a circle with center M, so very important, that's the midpoint, is drawn. A, B, C, are points on the circle with AC as the diameter. Determine the length of the radius, so MA. Round your answer off to the nearest 1 decimal. So they don't want it in simplest, they want you to round it off. So without getting the midpoint, you can work out the distance of AC, and then because we know that AC is the diameter, so AC divided by 2 will give you MA, and that is what they want. This is the radius. Okay, so the distance formula, the 2 added together squared, the y value subtracted, the x value subtracted, so that gives you -4 squared, which is 16. 4 plus 2 is 6, which is 36, which gives you 16 plus 36, and the square root of 52 gives you square root of 52 gives you 7.2 units. But because they wanted the radius, we have to divide by 2, which gives you 3.6 rounded off. Okay, very easy. Determine the coordinates of M. Oh, that's okay. That's the midpoint between C and A, which will be as a coordinate. So the two x values added together divided by 2, and then the two y values added together divided by 2. So the coordinates would be 4 minus 2 divided by 2 gives you 1, And 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2 gives you 5. And then they say, show that AB is perpendicular. So AB is perpendicular to BC. So what do I need to do? I need to work out the gradient of AB and the gradient of CB. So the gradient of AB and the gradient of CB. Okay, and if I get the two gradients, remember perpendicular shows if you multiply them together, the two gradients, and it gives you -1, it means that they are perpendicular. Let's get a different color. Okay, the gradient of AB, change of y, so 3 minus 8 over change of x, 3 minus 8, 4 minus 3, 3 minus 8 gives you -5 over 1, which is -5. And the gradient of CB is change of y over change of x, which gives you 1 over 3 plus 2 is 5. Then you can say, thus the gradient of AB times the gradient of CB does give me -1. Thus, AB is perpendicular to, BC. Okay, because -5 times a fifth does give you -1. And then they say to you, hence determine the area of triangle ABC. So the area of triangle ABC is base times height divided by 2. So we need the base and the height is always perpendicular to each other. So we need to find the distance of AB. The distance of AB. And then we also need to find the distance of BC. Then we're going to take our two answers. We're going to times it with each other and divide it by 2. Okay, but we'll get to that. Let's just first find the distance of AB. Sorry that I have to go up like that. So 4, 3, and 3, 8. And A is 4, 3. AB is 4, 3, 3, 8, and C is -2, 7. Okay, I just quickly, to make it a little bit faster, I worked out the distance of AB and the distance of BC. So thus the area is the base times the height divided by 2. Which gives you 13 units squared. Okay, because they do ask you for the area, so remember it's units squared. Okay, then the very last question, you can see it was out of 55, was probably a little bit harder, but not undoable. So I want to quickly show you. It says on the Cartesian plane below, MA1 is the midpoint between A and B, with A as -2, 4 and B as 5k. Point D lies on the x-axis. So very, very important. We're going to have a value for x, but what do we know if it lies on the x-axis? It means that y is going to be 0 over there. Okay, and then they tell me the length of DM or MD is the square root of 21.25. The diagram is not drawn to scale. Okay, so they first asked me calculate the values of A and K. So it's to do with the midpoint. So let's do K first. So 4 plus K divided by 2 gives me the 1. So 4 plus k divided by 2 should give me that 1. So 4 plus k is equal to 2. So k is equal to -2. Okay, and it sort of does make sense, hey? The y value is there underneath, so k is -2. Then the same now for a. So it's -2 plus 5 divided by 2 will give me a's value, and -2 plus 5 gives you 3/2 for a's value. Okay, now they say to you, determine the coordinates of D if the coordinate of M is 3/2, 1. So you can always go check your answer. If they had to give you a follow-up question, but the teacher doesn't want to do follow-up marks, she'll sometimes tell you the coordinates, and you can take it that that should be your answer actually from the previous question. So if it's not, go and redo it and make sure that you do have it correct. Okay, and it tells you show all your calculations. Okay, so we know the distance of MD is equal to the square root of 21.25. Okay, so let's go work out the distance. We're going to equal it to 21.25. Okay, so that a over there we know now is 3/2. So it's going to be 3/2 minus x. I always like to write it the other way around. Let me do that. The x minus 3/2. X minus 3/2 squared over 0 minus 1 squared. Okay, so just please be careful. The thing that you had to note is that D, because it's on the x-axis, the y would be 0. Okay, so that's why I replaced a 0 in there. Okay, if you've got two square roots, you can cancel them out. So 21.25 is equal to x minus 3/2 squared plus 0 minus 1 is 1 squared, which gives you 1. Okay, I'm going to bring that 21.25 over. X minus 3/2 times x minus 3/2. I'll do it a little bit easier, a little bit slower. So 1 minus 21.25 gives you -81/4. Let me just make sure. -81/4. Okay, so now we're going to finish. X times x is x squared minus 3/2 minus another 3/2, and you can just put it in your calculator. Minus 3/2 minus another 3/2 gives you -3x. Oh, thank goodness. And plus 3 times 3 is 9/4 minus 81/4, and that we can simplify in our calculator. 9 divided by 4 minus 81 over 4, and that gives you a beautiful answer as -18. Oh, thank goodness. So then you can factorize. They're different. The first one's a minus, and 6 times 3 gives you 18, and minus 6 plus 3 does give you that -3. So x is either, 6, or x is -3. So let's just go look again what the question is. Determine the coordinates of D. So D's coordinates, what do you think the x value would be? Would it be a +6 or a -3? Can you see that it's lying on the negative side of the x-axis? So definitely x is -3. So, and they asked you the coordinate of D, which would be -3, 0. Voila! Well done for listening and comprehending and making sure that you understand this section. These are basically all the types of questions that you can get with analytical geometry. Could be variants of these, but if you know these basics, you'll be able to do well with this section. Okay, and it's quite an easy section. You've got the formulas given to you. You should be able to do very well. Okay, thank you so much for watching grade 10s and hope you have a wonderful day further. Thanks, bye.